I'm Eric Nelson for CCX News, and welcome to segment 1 of our series titled Policing in a Pandemic. There is no doubt that COVID-19 has been a game changer for those involved in law enforcement. We talked to several chiefs from our viewing area and asked them just how different their job now is.
What we've really been trying to do is to stay on top of understanding the most current information. What PPEs do we use? When do we use them? Do you have a mask on all the time? Do you have a mask on some of the time? So really a major focus for us has been trying to figure out what the best and newest information is to make sure that all of our officers have all of the tools and all of the information that they could in order to do the job effectively.
We had to reassess our primary function, which is responding to 911 calls, real crises in progress. And that's just something that there's no other police that are going to be responding when people call 911. And we really had to make sure that we're committed to having staff to do that work no matter what, 24 hours a day. So we really wanted to look at our staffing model and make sure that we could uphold our responsibility to respond to 911 calls.
We are in the North Planning Group for Emergency Management, and all of the law enforcement agencies have gotten together, and we have come up with a plan if this were to hit any of our agencies too hard, that we'd be able to lean on each other to coordinate law enforcement services and keep moving on and answering 911 calls and getting to where we need to be. The other sacrifice our officers are making is there's no time off. So we're fully staffed, working with our full-time officers. We're not using part-time officers currently, and we're just, these men and women of this police department are putting a lot on the line, not being home with their families, not being able to do anything or take time off to get away from work. They're just putting in their days that they're scheduled.
The first couple weeks of this, we felt like our calls for service were down. We were seeing less things as people settled in and stayed in their house and tried to figure out what this was. People were scared to leave the house again. Now, as this thing evolves, people are coming out of the house more, and so I would say that our actual calls for service actually have gone up in the last couple weeks from what our norm would be about this time.
We're more focusing on more violent offenses, making sure domestics are going up. So we're trying to mitigate that. We have a little small spike in overdoses. So what we're doing is, we have to still police and do what sheriff's deputies do every day, plus this pandemic.
And we're learning things have changed regarding crime. Specifically, burglaries are almost non-existent, and we believe that's because people are just home, and so there's not many opportunities for people to break into your house when you're there 24 hours a day. But we have seen other crimes, such as shoplifting, be on the rise. Domestics, specifically some violent domestics, are on the rise, and that's probably also due to people being home. So we're trying to keep up with what the demands of our community are.
Coming up in segment 2 of Policing in a Pandemic, we will ask the chiefs if their officers are easing up on enforcing minor infractions during the pandemic. I'm Eric Nelson reporting for CCX News.